Hi there, this is the project video of the React app, and in this video we're going to learn about the following things. As we know that this project is basically for the beginners, so we're going to learn about how to create the React app and import the Tailwind CSS in our app. Then we're going to understand the basic file structure of the app. Then we're going to learn about the JSX and the useState hook that we're going to use in our project. So first of all, we're going to create the React app, but before that you have to have the good understanding of the JavaScript and you have to install the Node.js in your system, and then we can go further to create the React app. So these are the commands that we need to follow to create the React app. And now what we want to do, we simply want to import the Tailwind CSS in our project. So for that we're going to simply install the Tailwind CSS in our React app by using the npm package, and then we will create the init file. So this is the app that we are going to create in this tutorial. So this app is simply a to-do app. It can add the task, it can delete the task, and that's it. So if you just want to add anything, you're gonna simply write here hi. All right, and if you just want to delete something, you can simply delete it. As you can see here that our app is actually responsive. All right, so let's just go to the VS Code and start building this app from the scratch. Alright, so first of all, we're gonna simply create the React app. So first of all, you're gonna write the npx, then you have to write the create React app, then you have to provide the name of the app you want to have. So let's just hit the enter, and you're gonna start creating your React app. It's gonna take some time. It actually depends on the speed of your internet. Alright, so the app is successfully created. So now we have to be inside the directory of our app, which is to do code. So I'm gonna write cd, and now to run our React app we're gonna write npm run start. So our 3000 port is already occupied, so we're gonna run this on another port. Yes, so it would be on another port. Okay, so this is the default UI of the React app. Whenever you create the React app, you're gonna get this UI. Okay, so now let's understand the basic file structure of the React app. So first of all, for example, so name of the project is my app. Okay, so there is a folder of it, and inside this folder we have the three main folders of the React app. The first one is the source folder, which will have the code of your React app, and second one is the public folder, which will have the HTML file of your React app. Okay, so as we know that the HTML file is the root file of any web application, okay, regardless of the framework, whether you can use the React, Vue or Angular, it needs to have its HTML file. So the HTML file of the React app is inside the public folder, and then we have the node modules. So it just simply contains every install dependency for your project. Okay, so then we have a couple of files where we're gonna simply discuss one here, which is the package.json. It does have the metadata of your project and have all the dependencies which are installed for your project with the version, and we also have some scripts in it. So let's just go to the source code where we're gonna have all the source files of our React app. Okay, so there are some files that I want to delete because we are not going to use those files. So it would be this one, logo, and this. Okay, so delete this. Okay, all right. But I also want to delete the app.css. Now what I need to do, I have to remove this from here and here. Let me just remove this. All right, so as you can see here that we are not getting any auto suggestion. So what we need to do here, I'm gonna simply convert this JavaScript from here to the JSX. All right, and now it's gonna simply give us this auto suggestion. As you can see here, this is working. Okay, so we also have the error. All right, so we are good now, and let's just go to our app, and this is working. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to our code, and I just want to remove all of this thing because I just want to start the code from the scratch. Okay, so I'm gonna remove all of these things from here and here as well. Okay, so let's just remove this, and let's just remove this as well. Let's just remove this CSS as well. Now we're gonna learn about the JSX. Okay, so what is the JSX? It's simply the JavaScript XMLs, and it allows us to write the HTML in React. So let's just take the example here, the code of the React. with the jigs and without the jigs. So first one is without the jigs. So for example, you can see here that in my element, when I use create, then we have to pass the three different parameters to simply create the h1 element or the heading element. But if we just simply use the JSX here, we'll simply write the HTML element and we're gonna simply write the text whatever we want to write here. We don't have to pass the parameters or do nothing with that. We're gonna simply write the JSX, which simply mimics the syntax of the HTML. All right, so as you can see here, so it is pretty simple to write the React code with the JSX. So as you can see here that we are writing the code from the scratch. So first of all, I'm gonna write here import React from React, and we also have to import the React DOM. All right, and we can also import the index.css, and after that we can import the app from our app file. Okay, so first of all we have to create the root element of the React app. So for that I have to create the variable const root, and then we're gonna need to use the React DOM, and we're gonna use the create root method, and inside that I'm gonna simply pass the document dot get element by the ID, and the ID would be root. So you would be wondering where is this element with the root ID. So if we just go here to the public folder, and inside that we have the index.html, and inside that we have this div element whose ID is the root. So we are simply accessing this div element, and whatever we're gonna write down in our React app will be inside this div element. Okay, so let's just go back to our index.js. All right, so we have created the root variable. So now we're gonna simply use this root dot render, and in the render you're gonna simply write the app. Okay, because I want to render my app. So the app is basically the root element or the root component of your React app, and whatever the components we will be making or whatever the elements we will be having in our JSX will be inside this main component or the root element. And we can do one more thing here, is to wrap our app component inside the React dot strict mode. It simply help us to avoid the errors. All right, so that's it. And now we're gonna write the code for our app. So we have nothing right now, but we're gonna put something in our app.js. Okay, so I'm gonna create the const app. We need to export this as well, export default app. So let's just run this and see whether it is working perfectly or not. Alright, so we are having an error here on the index.js line number 6 that React DOM is undefined. Okay. Alright, so I think I have done some mistake in importing the React DOM, so let's just correct this. So I'm gonna go up to here. Alright, so I think I have to import this from React DOM, and it has to be the client, and now it needs to work fine. Okay, so this is working again. All right, so we are done with some basics here. Okay, so now we need to import the Tailwind CSS because we're gonna use this for the styling of our app. Okay, so I have to stop our app for running for now, and now I have to install npm install and I'm gonna write Tailwind CSS. Okay, and it will simply install the Tailwind CSS package for our React app. Alright, so the Tailwind is installed, and we have to create the init file for that. Tailwind CSS init. Alright, so this will simply create the config file for the Tailwind. So now what we need to do here, we have to go to the browser, and I'm gonna write here how to import Tailwind CSS in React. Okay, so we have done all of these steps. So now what I need to do, I have to simply copy this and paste it inside our config file. Okay, so we have the config file here, and we're going to simply paste this here and save this. And then what we need to do, and we also have to add these directives inside our index.css. So index.css and add these directives, and then just restart the app. All right. Okay, so we need to test by using some classes of the Tailwind CSS whether it is working or not. So I'm gonna write here the class name, and we have to remember that we are using the JSX, and in the JSX you do not write the class. Instead of that, you write the class name. So I want to test the Tailwind CSS, so I can simply use any class of that. Okay, so I'm gonna write down background color of the slate. Okay, so that will work fine. Okay, so let's just go to our UI, and we have the slate type of color. Okay, so it simply means our Tailwind is working. So let's just remove this, and I just simply want to check the layout of the app we are creating here. So it is basically this. So as you can see here, we have the header, then we have the input button, and so I got this. So it has to be header input button. All right, I need to create the div element, and inside the div element it should simply have the h1 to do app. Here let's just create a div element, and here we would have the input. With that, we're gonna have the button, which would be tasks. Okay, that's it for now. Alright, so we have the heading, and we have the input and the button. So let me just style this. Okay, I'm gonna use the flex box here. For the flex, we have the class flex. The direction of the flex box here is by default the raw, so I have to explicitly write the flex.call to change the direction from the row to the column. And now what we need to do here, I had to write down font size, which would be the text.large. I want to have the font of the bold style, so it would be bold. That would work fine. Okay, and now we need to have the class name. It would be the flex. Okay, it would work fine. All right, so now we need to put all of our element to the center. For that, we have to write down items dot center, and I just want to create some space from the top side, so we have to use the padding, I guess. Here that would work fine. Okay, so for the padding you have to write the p, and then you have to write the number, which is simply the value for the padding. 10 simply means you want to add the padding of the 10 rem. Okay, I want to add the 16. Work fine, but no, I think we have to add the margin here, not the padding. Okay, so that is good. I think I need to remove this div element because it's not needed, and we need to have the larger text here. So it would be for Excel. Yes, that is working fine. So we have the flex, but I think we are good without the flex. I need to add some padding here, p6. That is working fine. We just give it a placeholder, create a to do. Okay, good for now. So we have to style the button here. Class name, it would be background green 400. Text need to be the white, and I want to make the corner of the button rounded, so it would be simply rounded. Okay, and I need to add some padding in the margin here, so it would be 3, and it would be 3 as well. Okay, we have some padding in the margin. I need to make the font bold. Okay, so we are good now, but I just want to change the color on the hover of the button, so it would be, so if you just want to change the color on the hover effect, what you need to do, you're gonna write the hover, and you have to write the colon, and then I'm gonna write bg green. It would be 500, or I think 600 would be fine. Okay, all right, so now you can see here we have the change in color on the hover effect. Okay, so this is how you can do the things on the hover, and I need to change the color from the 400 to the 500 because I think it will look fine. Okay, so it's good. Okay, I think I need to add some styling in it to the input. So class name would be bg slat 100. It need to be rounded mid. All right, and we have to add some padding, and we have to add some margin. That looks fine now. Okay, this looks good. All right, so it doesn't have any functionality right now, but we're gonna simply add it later. I'm gonna create the one more div element here. Right now it doesn't have anything. All right, so now I just want to add the add task functionality to our app. Okay, so for that, what we need to do here, I'm gonna go to our code, and we have to create some variables. All right, so in the last, we're going to simply run about the useState. So what is the useState? useState is simply a hook that allows us to track the state in the function component. So here are the three things that we need to understand. The first one is the hook, second one is the state, and the third one is the component. Okay, so what is the hook? Hook is actually the function that allows the functional component to have access to the state and the other React features. Okay, so what is the state here? State simply refers to the data, and what is the component? Function component, or the component is simply the function that returns the HTML elements. All right, so that's it, and this is all we need to know. And for that I have to import something here, which is the useState from the React. So why we use the useState? If I just have to define, we use it basically to change the UI or re-render the UI whenever there is a change in some particular value that we define inside the useState. How we define the useState? For that we have to write down the const. We're gonna simply use the destructuring assignment. Okay, so the first variable would be the value and the second variable would be the method that will set the value whenever there is a change in the value in our useState. Okay, so I have to write down the tasks here, and I have to write the name of set tasks, and it would be useState, and inside the parentheses of useState you will just define the default value of your tasks variable. Okay, so which is basically the empty array here. All right, I have to create another variable here which would be the const, and it would be the task for our input, and set task here useState, and its default value would be the empty string. That would work fine here, and I have to write down the value, and the value would be task. And now we have to define the on click event on our input field, which would be basically, and I want to define e parameter for the event. And now what I need to do here, I want to set the task value, not the tasks. I have to set the task value whatever we get in our input field. So it would be event dot target dot value. This would simply set the value of our task variable from the input field. All right, that's it. And now what we need to do in the task field, I think we are good here. Okay, so now we have to define the on click functionality of our add task button. So I'm gonna write here on click, I'm gonna write add tasks. Okay, so as you can see here, we haven't defined the add task function here, so let's just define this const add tasks. All right, okay, I have to add the error here. So inside that you have to simply use the set tasks, and we have to use the split operator here, and I am assuming that you have the knowledge of the split operator in the JavaScript. Okay, if you don't have the knowledge about it, you can simply explore it on the Google. Okay, so that would be the task, and it would be the task, but I have to put a condition here. It only sets the value if the task value is empty. Let's just put this inside here, and we have to set the task value again to the 0. Okay, I think we are good now. All right, I want to simply console log the task variable here. All right, so let's just run this, and we're gonna go our app. All right, so I think there's some bug. We can't write anything in our input field. Okay, so we go back to our code and we have to check. All right, so it has to be the on change and not on the on click. Let's just run this again and go back to our app and try to write something here. Okay, so I'm gonna write here hi and add this, and I want to check. Okay, so now you can see here we have nothing in our array. So if I just write something again here, that would be, is this working? Check it out. Now you can see that we have the values in our array. Okay, so it is sort of working right now. All right, but we want to show the values here just like that. Okay, this is the previous step, so we just want to add the task just like that. Okay, so what we need to do here, we're gonna go back to our code and let's just start building this. First of all, I have to write down the task dot question mark dot length. I have to use the curly braces here before doing anything. Okay, so here basically I am using the nullish operator, and if you don't have the idea of the nullish operator, you can explore it on the Google. It is basically the JavaScript concept. Okay, if the value is greater than 0, then show me this. Okay, otherwise show me that div element and the paragraph that no task found. All right, so here we are basically using the two different concepts of the JavaScript. This one is the nullish operator, and this one the question mark and the colon is basically the ternary operator. You have to go to the Google and explore these concepts if you don't know anything about them. Okay, so here I want to write down the unordered list, and inside that I have to use the map function, which will basically iterate over every single element in the array. Okay, so the task simply show the single element of the array, every single element as it iterates or the loop over every single element. Then we're gonna write the index value of that particular value of the array. We can also perform some actions on the value of the array we are getting. Okay, so I just want to write down the div element, and inside the div element I'm gonna write the list, and inside the list we're gonna have the button here that would be delete. Okay, it would work fine, and here I just want to show the task. All right, so I think that would simply work fine. So it has to be the small brackets here, not the curly braces. This is working fine. Now we have to go to our app and see whether it is working or not. So let's just refresh this and add hi, how are you. Okay, so now as you can see here that we are actually getting the task we are doing on our app. Okay, so now we have to style it a bit. All right, so I just want to style the button right now. The color would be background red 500, and text would be simply white. And let's just have some padding and margin on the horizontal direction. Okay, mx simply means we want to add the margin on the left and the right side. If you just write down the my, which simply means we want to add the margin on the top and the bottom values. Okay, so let's just go with the mx here and rounded mid, which would basically round the corners of your button, and make the font bold. Okay, so now you can see here that we have the good looking button. As you can see here that the text on the button are not on the same line, are on the different line. I just want to put this on the single line, so for that I need to use the flexbox property, which is by default the row. And it would simply put the things in a single line. And let's just add some background color. Okay, and we have to add some margin and the padding, and we have to add some padding here. So I want to add the padding in the y direction, which would be the 4. So I also want to add the padding on the left side specifically. So for that we have to use the class pl. L simply means the left side, so I just want to add the 12 here. It would simply add the good amount of padding from the left side. Okay, so I think we are actually good here, and now I have to add the rounded edge. Okay, that's good. And I also want to add some padding on the right side as well. So just like the pl, we can use the pr. Okay, it's too much. I need to add the 4 here. Okay, that is fine. And let's just use the index as the key value of the div element. And now we need to style, okay, our list here, class. Okay, so I just want to align my text to the center vertically. So for that I'm going to use the self center. That is working fine. We have the text in the center vertically, and I have to add some padding in the margin as well. And so font semi bold, which will simply make our font a semi bold. And then we need to add some padding from the, okay, so now we have to add some padding from the right side and margin from the right side as well. And I have to use the grow property of the flexbox, which would simply align the button at the end of the container because our text is simply occupying all the available space. Okay, so I think we are good here in styling, and now we have to add some functionality on our delete button. And I also want to add the hover effect, so let's just go with the hover effect here first of all. So it would be the hover pg red 600. I think that would work fine. All right, so we are good to go, and now we just have to add the delete functionality. All right, so let's just write down the function to delete the task. It would be delete tasks, and we have to pass the index value of the task that we want to delete. Okay, so let's just delete the task as we delete the element of the array. Okay, and I'm gonna write here the task index. All right, so that's okay for now. Now I want to use this method on the button. Okay, so it's gonna be on click, and it would be delete tasks, and I have to pass the index value. Alright, so whenever there is a function which has the parameter, so if we just simply call this in this way, it will call itself automatically on every render. So let me just give it a console log here. Okay, automatic. Alright, and let's just open up the terminal, and so if I just add the hi here, now you can see here it is automatically calling the delete task function. Okay, so how can we solve this? It is really easy. What we need to do here, we're gonna simply wrap this inside another anonymous function. That's it, and now it won't call itself automatically. Okay, let me just write down here. Okay, so refresh this. Hello. All right, hi. Okay, so adding functionality simply works. So if I have to delete, it won't update the values because I haven't used the set task function, okay, of the use state. So I have to use that set task function here, tasks. If I just write down here, hi, how are you, and try to delete the value here, okay, it is still not updating the values. Okay, so what we need to do here, actually I was doing this wrong by purpose, so we actually have to use another variable here. So I'm gonna create updated list, and we will simply pass our tasks array here, and we will simply delete the value from our updated list, and we will simply show our updated list here, and now it will work fine. So hi, how are you? Okay, so let's just delete the value. Okay, it's working, but there is a problem in this approach. Okay, so now you can see here we still have this empty container. Okay, so how we can get rid of this? Okay, so when we try to remove the element of the array by using the delete keyword, it does not actually delete the element from the array, it only deletes the value. Okay, but we have to use the splice function here, which actually delete the element from the array. Okay, use the splice function on our updated list. I want to delete the value which is on the index number. Okay, in the second parameter you have to define how many elements you want to delete. So if I don't define the second parameter, it will work fine, but it would still have a small bug. So if I just write down how are you, okay, hi, and no. Okay, so if you just try to delete the element from the end, it won't have any problem. Okay, but if I try to delete the element from the start, it would delete all the values. Okay, so if I just try to delete the starting value, it would delete all the values. So this can be fixed by defining the number of the elements you want to delete in the splice function. So I want to delete a single value, and now we won't have any sort of problem here. Steal test. Alright, so if I just try to delete the values from the starting side, it won't have any problem. Alright, so this is it, and this is how we create a simple to-do app with the adding and the deleting functionality, and we styled it with the help of Tailwind CSS. If you really find this content valuable, hit the like button and subscribe the channel. And so that's it for today, and now we're gonna meet in another project.